Hello and welcome to the Week 6 review episode of the JMD and JTT leagues. We're almost at halfway. Next week we'll be at halfway through the season. All that planning, all gone to shit at this point. All that planning, and we are almost at Week 6. So let's jump straight in. I'm going to be perfectly honest, I haven't had a chance to look at any of the numbers, any of the leagues. So this is as much as a surprise to me as it is to you as we get going today. We're going to start with the Dynasty, jump straight in with the Brady League. In Week 6, there was a big win for Team Evdokios, 179 points, plays 175 for owner of Brady. But it was a big win because he got him off the mat, 1-5. So Evdokios is alive through 6 weeks. Still a lot of work to do. 1-5 is difficult to recover from. But a big week nonetheless, and a good win. Owner of Brady's going to be unlucky when losing that at 175 points. Herbert at QB, Derrick Henry, okay game at 14 points, and Genty 16. Brian Thomas arrived on the scene properly, 8 catches for 90 yards and 1 touchdown in 2025. Not had a great start to the year, but a big week from him. Disappointing from Pittman, another good week from Metcalf. And then Rico Dowdle, 33 points. Anyone who had Rico Dowdle this week is going to struggle to not win their game. And Bryce Young with almost 20 points. So a decent duo at quarterback. On the other side, if he stayed up and watched Monday Night Football and was looking at this matchup, he's got to have been worried. Bijan Robinson putting up almost 36 points in this scoring format. But when he would have needed about 40, so not quite enough to get owner of Brady back in the game. So Random Task falls to 3-3. Evdokios is up to 1-5. Elsewhere, wins for Never Dull in Hull, also a high-scoring game, 175 to 162. Jamie G10 getting his 4th win of the season. Yeovil Town 49ers falling to 2-4. 5-yard rush. Murph got his 4th win of the season, goes to 4-2, 140, plays 112. Wild Guns, who's won the Charity Shield and now taking a week off, on 112 points for him scored. And JMD Pod moves to the top of the table with his 5th win, 132 against Renid Shaspeed, who's having a down year, definitely. So JMD Pod is at the top. So congratulations to H as he leads the division at 5-1, ahead of 3 teams at 4-2. Then got owner of Brady just looking in on the playoffs at 3-3. Yeovil Town 49ers with some work to do, and Evdokios and Renid Shaspeed with plenty of work to do at 1-5, but still 8 weeks of the regular season to turn things around. In the Elway division, the biggest score of the week went to Team Pestle with 171. He moves to 4-2 against the JTT Cup commish. That'll be a tough one for Matt to take, who falls to 2-4. So, it wasn't Team Pestle, actually. It was Team Chemburn. So let's look at both of them. They were very close. This is what happens when you don't do any prep. Team Pestle, Jaden Daniels back in at quarterback, 22 points. Technically, he was back in last week, but looked back this week. Bijan Robinson, 35. Jonathan Taylor, 23. I was talking to the lads on the pod last night about the JMD League, and we were talking about Jonathan Taylor and Bijan Robinson and how possibly they are the best 2 running backs in football at the moment, especially from a fantasy football point of view. And I had both of these in our JMD League 3 months ago, and I've since done trades to move both of them on. So might not be giving myself the best chance to win this league, but here we go. Bijan, Jonathan Taylor, McConkey all scoring well over 20-odd points. T. Higgins, McMillan with 2 touchdowns, only on 3 receptions. Felt like he had a bigger game than that with the 2 touchdowns coming through on red zone. Quinton Johnson didn't play at all. Sam Laporta put up a good score. Keenan Allen was disappointing. Jake Elliott and the Chargers D did okay. So Pestle, big score despite one of his players not playing. And elsewhere, Chemburns moves to 4-2. Jalen Hurts, an okay week for Jalen Hurts, 21 points. GNT, we've talked about Javonte Williams with a bit of a down week, only 8 points for Javonte Williams. One Day Robertson and Jackson Smith and Jigba, who's looking like the fantasy wide receiver to have, especially now Puka Nacua might be injured. And Dallas Goedert at tight end has put up 26 points, which is a massive week. 9 receptions for 110 and a touchdown. Justin Fields let him down a bit. Zay Flowers let him down a bit. But Cameron Dick has come through with 17 points to give him 171. So Pestle wins that to move to 4-2. Chen Burns wins that one to move to 4-2. Team Dr. Dre wins this one to move to 4-2. And at the bottom, Team DS Liddy wins against Team Suarez Power to move to 3-3. So a very tight division. I think this is the division last week where we had everybody on 2 or 3 wins. So 3 teams move ahead at 4-2, as already mentioned, and then we've got 2 teams at 3-3, and the other 3 at 2-4. So again, wide open going through the first 6 weeks, and as we approach halfway in the Manning division, it was a defeat for me, which I could have done absolutely nothing about. 222.36 from Grid Irony. Mahomes at quarterback, Dowdle and Swift as his starting running back. So that's the best part, 60 points there. 90 points if you include Mahomes. Adunze let him down a little bit at wide receiver, but Drake London and George Pickens, between them, putting up almost 65 points in the other 2 wide receiver spots. Jake Ferguson with not a massive week for him, but continues to score touchdowns. So he got 12 points. DK Metcalf, I've just noticed the kicker. DK Metcalf almost 20 points. Caleb Williams almost 20 points, and the Seattle D 11 points. So he's absolutely smashed me with 222 points without playing a kicker. Wonderful. Never stood a chance in that game. Not that disappointed of 139, to be fair. That's top 4 score for the week, but absolutely no chance. So congratulations to Grid Irony with one of the biggest scores. I will check that for you, but that's one of the biggest scores I think we've ever had in the JMD Dynasty League. So congratulations to him. Lower down, the Last Waltz grabbed a win with only 123 points. Big win over Matty Leo. Team Scuba Lee won again, 174 points. Another big win for Scuba Lee, and then a win for Team Big Pods. So other than that, Matty Leo, Last Balls, all of those games split by at least 50 or 60 points, which leaves the division looking like this. Everyone's got at least 2 wins. Grid Irony's at 5, Scuba Lee's on 4, the JMD Penguins and the Last Waltz and PDS PM Big Man all on 3, fighting it out for those playoff spots, with Big Boss Matty Leo and Mungry Pablo on 2, looking in. Again, plenty to play for. We're still very early days in all of these leagues. Merino division. The unstoppable Manchester Infernos continue. Ian's not H. H is 5-1. Ian's 6-0 in this division. I'm letting the pod down at 3-3. Not the biggest score of the week in this division, though. That goes to the boy, 193 points to move to 3-3 against surviving Taysom Hill, who was 4-1 coming into it. So it was a big win, that. Drake May, 27 points. Walker and Genty only putting up 20 at running back. It's a bit disappointing. But 2 of the big wide receivers this week, Jackson Smith and Jigba and Drake London, both had over 30 points. And Dallas Goedert, who's going to come up on a lot of winning teams, I think, with that 26 points at tight end. We've already mentioned him a couple of times. Marvin Harrison only scoring 5, obviously going out injured. Tony Pollard's been a bit disappointing this year, and with Spears back, his workload seems to be getting eaten into a little bit. 10 carries and 2 receptions for a total of 47 yards. Caleb Williams is definitely a solid second QB. And Boswell and the Pittsburgh Steelers defense putting up 25 was pretty good. It was a tough week for kickers and D this week. Wasn't a lot of scoring going on. So if you've managed to get 25 points out of them, you'll have done well. Other wins for Brown Bear Ricks, High Diddly Ho Neighbors Reno, which moves him to 3-3, and wins for our champion Dynasty Cowboys, who moves to 3-3, or Merino champion Dynasty Cowboys. So Manchester Infernos, Ian's team, are 2 wins ahead at the top, at 6-0. Surviving Taysom Hill's 4-2. The Boy Dynasty Cowboys and Brown Bear Rick's team, as already mentioned, at 3-3. 2 teams looking in from the outside, Rookie Raven and Drift Edge, and then MKC Papa has some work to do at 1-5, 2 games back from the playoff places. Finally, in Dynasty, the Montana division. And the big score this week, 2 big scores this week, but the big one, the other 200-point score across the league was London Tube Raiders, who moves to 4-2 against Team Fiona, who never stood a chance. 70 points in it, 203 points for London Tube Raiders. Hurts at quarterback. Started the week really well with Hurts at quarterback and Scatterboo at running back. So that's 50-odd points from that Thursday night. Quinshawn Judkins with just over 3 was really disappointing, only 36 yards on 12 carries. We, as a podcast, are expecting a bounce back from him this week. If you tune in, you'll find out why. Pickens and Drake London and Lad McConkey is about as good a 3-set wide receiver as you could possibly got this week. So that's over 85 points from the 3 of them. Mason Taylor was disappointing, as was Krosky Merritt. Daniel Jones continues to put up numbers, and then 30 points from the Denver defense, and Cameron Dicker, the kicker, adds to what was already a really good score. So 203 points for London Tube Raiders. And a big win, a big point scores by Ryan Judge as well. 44-2, 109, just short of 194 points. Quickly have a look at that. Goff at quarterback, Rico Dowdle and BJ Robinson. What a pairing at running back for this week. Over, what's that, almost 70 points, just short of 70 points between you 2 running backs. Absolutely brilliant scoring. At wide receiver, had Worthy McMillan and Marvin Harrison, disappointing. Tyler Warren at tight end continues to be the pick of the rookies from what so far in rookie drafts. Tony Pollard, we've already talked about. Mahomes is back to his best. I think he's QB1 on the season so far. Cam Little missed a field goal and missed an extra point, so ends up with 0 because we don't have minuses in this league. And 17 points for the Las Vegas D against the Tennessee Titans. So Ryan Judge moves to 4-2. Razamundo's JJB Good also 4-2. Craig gets the win at the top there against the Blair Walsh Project, and the closest game, Jordan Dixon beaten by under 5 points by Corgis Unite, who get back to 500. So we at the top we've got 3 teams: JJB Good, Ryan Judge, and London Tube Raiders, all split on points scored at 4-2. 3 chasing at 3-3, the Blair Walsh Project, Craig and Corgis Unite. And then Jordan Dixon's at 2-4. Fiona, 8. Fiona's team are 1-5. Just a quick note on Jordan Dixon's team there. Points against. I mean, this is one of the things with the head-to-head matchup scenario within NFL fantasy football. Sometimes you can just be on the wrong end of a few. Now he's not scored massively, only 863 points, which definitely puts him in the bottom half for scoring. But the points against of over 1,000, that has really cost him. When you look at some of the others, are still in the 800s. So he's come up against some tough matchups this season so far. So that's the Dynasty Leagues. I mentioned the next cup up is the Divisional Cup. I'm pushing that back a week. So we'll do the draw for that based on this week's results. We'll do the draw for that next week, and I will put I should have a bit of time on Wednesday next week to get everything in place so that when we go into week 8, you will have your first round of the divisional matchup cup with the voucher to play for, which means that should finish in week 11. 8, 9, 10, 11, yeah, that'll finish in week 11. So we'll crown the winner in week 11. Then we'll have a week and then we can start looking forward towards the Champions League, the Europa League that we're doing this year, and then obviously the playoffs for in division playoffs. On to redraft. I've got to sort this team out. Josh Allen at quarterback. Let's focus on 1 week at a time. So let's focus on week 6 in redraft in Division A. The biggest score of the week was Brown Bear Rick's hot off the griddy, 162 points, easily the biggest score in Division A. I don't think was the best. In fact, Rookie Ravens Catch Me If You Can, who he beat with 136, was the second highest score. So unfortunate for Rookie Raven, but that was a comfortable 20-odd point victory for Brown Bear Rick. Caleb Williams, quarterback, 21 points. Devon Achan, who wasn't really mentioned in any of those massive scores in the Dynasty League, but Devon Achan put up 31 points. Chase Brown with just 9 carries and only 2 receptions. I thought he might get a little bit more with Flacco in there. It'd be interesting to see how he does with a little bit more time to prepare for the Steelers game tonight. At wide receiver, Jackson Smith and Jigba put up 30 points. Devontae Smith only 8.9. And Joku's been disappointing and obviously now out hurt. McMillan and Dubs in the flex positions, just short of 30 points between them. Badgley, and then the Rams defense with 19 scored really well to give him the win and the points. Elsewhere, wins for the final boss, Team Ram Raider, Long Pink Snapper, and Team Evdokios. Good week for Team Evdokios so far. Some disappointing scores, which leaves the table like this. We've got one team at 5-1, hot off the griddy, with that massive win. We've got 3 teams at 4-2, and then another 3 at 3-3, holding the majority of the playoff chasing teams together. Evdokios keeps himself alive at 2-4, and then we've got 2 teams at 1-5 who desperately need a win. Obviously, 6 teams make the playoffs, so only 2 games back. Plenty to play for going into week 7. It's becoming like the catchphrase of this update that I'm going to stop saying it. In Division B, the big score was Connor French, 175.88. Daniel Jones at quarterback, good shout. Scatterboo and Josh Jacobs, some really big scoring from some disappointing scores from certain players, but really big scoring, especially from running backs this week. The Scatterboo, Jacobs, Bijan, Achan, all scoring over 30 points. Dowdle, so that's 5 of them off the top of my head, all scoring massive points. Yes, the Scatterboo and Josh Jacobs is a great running back duo to have this week. Raheed Shaheed, a little bit disappointing, just 4 catches, only 28 yards, but Drake London on Monday night made up for that in terms of the wide receivers. And a disappointing week for Gibbs, and a little bit disappointing for ETN, who's been on fire as well. Joker, we've already talked about going out. The Rams defense came through there with 19 points, but the damage was really done there at running back. You get a quarterback, and a couple of running backs to put up 90 points between them. You are going to be in with a very good chance of winning. So 175 points gets the win for Body Bags Ben 17. Also wins for Penguins of Dallas. So I get a win in this one to go to 4-2. H's team Hallam moves to 3-3. Clue is in the handle, moves to 2-4 against the JTT Commish. And another win for Ian, obviously winning in Dynasty to go to 6-0, wins in this one to go to 4-2. So the top of the Division B, Kittle Mix PPR is 4-2 and leads 3 other teams at 4-2. So there's 4 of us there fighting that out. A couple of teams at 3-3, and then 4 at 2-4. So all to play for in Division B. Wide open in Division B. In Division C, wins for Jamie G, Canal Walls, but the big win was Team Jack Donnelly, 195.5 against Team Dingling, who put up 137, which is not a bad score. Would have beaten half the teams in the league easy. But Team Jack Donnelly puts up 195. Who did he have at running back? Mahomes, 37 points. McCaffrey and Dowdle, best part of 60 between them. Brian Thomas, Ridley, Kelsey, Rashad White becoming a good pick while Bucky Irving's out. And Jalen Waddle. I was a bit disappointed with Jalen Waddle's line, only 15 points. But I suppose that's not bad considering he didn't get in the end zone. And the Rams defense, adding to Badgley's 8 points, gives him 27 from them too. Really is just a case of if you had 2 of those big running back performances, you probably got a win. If you're 1, you were definitely in the mix. Wins for Jamie G 10, 155 points. Canal Wolves with 109. That'll be one of the lowest scoring wins of the week, if not the lowest scoring win of the week. But a big, important win for Steve Mackin, 49, who moves to 2 and 4 with that win. Gumby Beard, 156, and Stop the Boats, 132 points. So we have, at the top, we have the Gumby Beard up 5 and 1. We've got 3 teams at 4 and 2, and just the one at 3 and 3. And then everybody else is 2 and 4. So everyone's got at least 2 wins in this division through 6 weeks after some of the results this week. On to Division D. The big score of the week, not as big as it has been in some of the others, but Long Pink Snapper, 170 points, still a massive score, and wins against Team Jimmy Nugent by 50 points. Baker Mayfield, Josh Jacobs was the other running back. Baker Mayfield, the quarterback, and then Josh Jacobs and DeAndre Swift at running back. Chase with one of his bigger games of the year, and Jalen Waddle at wide receiver. Not a bad turnout at all. Guessing there's not as many points further down. Sam Laporta at tight end. Bit disappointing at flex. One obviously going out injured, one just not being used as much in Marvin Harrison and Michael Pittman. But Dicker with easily one of the biggest kicker scores of the week. I think that might have been the biggest at 17. And the Baltimore defense only scoring 6, but 170 points. So congratulations to the big score of the week for Long Pink Snapper. Wins that one by 50. Team Big Bods wins with 134. Jack Donnelly gets another win at 155. SGAF F84 scores 132 in a win. And Team Scottish Patriots wins the tightest one of the week against Evdokius. He's already won a couple this week, but that's the 4th highest score of the week and beaten by just 3 points. So unlucky there. Let's see where the damage was done or if there's anything he could have done there. Mahomes winning that quarterback battle. Bijan on one side outscores Dowdle, but Genti did the damage against Kenneth Walker. So Kenneth Walker was probably the wrong move. We'll have a look further down. Pretty tight there at wide receivers. Tight, not much in it at tight end. McMillan Henry actually did better than Ridley and Warren on the flex side of it. And then the Rams defense was outscoring the Packers defense by 17. Boswell get outscoring Will Lutz. So his low scores were Hunter Henry in the flex and Roma Duterte at wide receiver, Kenneth Walker at running back. But on the bench, he didn't have anyone. Godwin's out. Bowers was out. So not a lot Evdokios could have done there. So how's the division look? Jack Donnelly leads the way at 5 and 1. Scottish Patriot and Long Pick Snapper at 4 and 2. 4 teams then at 3 and 3 before Evdokios, Jimmy Nugent at 2 and 4. Bronco Boy at the bottom on 1 and 5 with only 796 points scored. So needs to put a couple of wins together. In Division E, the biggest score of the week was 173.58, a win for Brown Bear Rick, again getting a mention. I know you mentioned wanting to come on, Rick, and maybe this, apologies, I've run out of time again this week to organise something. Maybe this is the week we should have brought you on. So it would have been a good week to talk about your big victories. 38-point win over James 87. Caleb Williams at quarterback. Breece Hall and J.K. Dobbins. He's a really disappointing running back room and would not set him up properly. Would not have given him a lot of hope if you just look at the running backs. But wide receiver, he has Jackson Smith-Njigba and Chris Olave putting up 45 between them. A good week from Jake Ferguson. And then the backup running backs, if you like, in the flex position, Achan and DeAndre Swift, both putting up big scores, and the Rams defense did really well against the Ravens. So another big win for Brown Bear Rick. Congratulations to him. Wins for my Penguins. Thunder Penguins in this one. Hurts to do this to you. Jake LP gets a closer game, but a big win for him to move to 4 and 2. 133 points. Really the tightest game of the week. Team Drift Edge sneaks it by less than less than 0.6 against Ramalama Ding Dong, the Kemish's bro. Could he have done anything different? Let's have a look at who he had on the bench. Justice Hill, 9 points on the bench. Could have played him instead of Stefan Diggs. Not that anybody would have done that. Can't really blame him for that. But that's got to hurt, losing that by not much. But a big win for Drifters. It gets him back to 3-3. Finding Nico we talked about, and Team Random Task with a win, 155 to go to 5-1. So we've got two teams in this division. My Penguins and Random Task are both 5-1. Hurts to do this to you, Jake LP 4-2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 teams at 3-3 before we get to Galzinho's 2-4, and a couple of teams struggling at 1-5. Last but not least, in Division F, the big score of the week was 162.64, 66 kicks. Gets to 4-2 with that score. Jaden Daniels at quarterback. Ashton Genty and Charbonnet, not big scorers at running back, especially considering the week. And Puka Nakua going out injured in the first half will not have helped. But Jackson Smith and Jigba, and then in the flex position, Fannon's done really well with 7 catches on 81 yards at tight end. And then in the flex positions, Vidal and Pickens putting up over almost 55 points between them. Makes up for Cameron Little. Apparently, we do have minus scoring in this division or in this league. So it must be the dynasty that doesn't have minus points. And -2 for Cam Little, which is terrible. Two kicks, both missed. And then the Steelers defense put up a solid 10 points for him to get in the win. Elsewhere, wins for my Wall Street Penguins. I mentioned last week that I needed some trades to get done, I think, and to mix it up. I had some terrible trade offers, but thanks to the effort, lads. I had some terrible trade offers for CD Lamb. I'll keep all the CD Lamb, thanks. But I've stayed alive at 2-4 with a big win this week. Other wins for Bear Down LCFC with 161 points scored, which is a big week. Congratulations to them. MetLife Crisis 132. And return of T-Mac with 144, which leaves a division like this: 66 kicks, return of T-Mac and Drube at 19, all at 4-2. We've then got 5 teams at 3-3. My Wall Street Penguins. That's an odd stat. Well, why did they give you that? Wall Street Penguins at 2-4, so still plenty to do there, and especially with my lack of fab. And Long Pink Snapper is struggling massively in this division at 1-5 with only 618 points scored through 6 weeks. So, yeah, tough. Finding it tough. We move away from that. The only other thing to update on, I haven't updated the cup scores, but as soon as I've finished downloading this, I will be moving on to that. So by the time you are listening to this, the cup scores will be updated. So that's next on Major. The only other thing is the Survivor. So we are now down to 25 out of the original 41 that started. This week we lost. This week, what week are we in? Week 6. This week we lost Wild Guns. Not a good week for Wild Guns. All the good stuff's happened, and he's got his tickets. He's off to the Rams Jags game this weekend, and he's taking his eye off the ball, and it's all falling apart. So Wild Guns, we lost Wild Guns, JMD, Galzinho, and Walden Farms all on Thursday night, with the Eagles lost to the Giants. And then the Gumby Beard we lost on Sunday, with the Cowboys lost to the Panthers. We also we haven't lost anybody else. We've also, who lost a life? Dr. Dre 2211 lost a life on the Eagles. So moving forward, we have, as I said, we've got, what did I say? 25. We've got 25 teams left. 11 of those still have both lives remaining. So that's me, Jack Donnelly, 66 kicks, Scottish Patriot, Ian, Seahawks, Sixers, PM Big Man, Steph the goalie, Konski 77, Ram Raider, and JMD. So the 3 lads from the pod, all together with 8 others, are still on 2 lives, and then we've got 14 other people still with 1 life left to go. Jamie G10 takes the crown for having lost a life, and Jamie G10 and TJ Cardiff Boy can take the crown for having lost their first life, the earliest, and still being alive. So they both had the Packers to beat the Browns in week 3, and since then have managed to pick 3 successful weeks on the trot. So they survive for another week. So 25 teams go into week 7 alive. Good luck with that. Make sure you do your picks. Make sure you set your lineups. We'll be back next week with a week 7 review. And until then, any problems, let me know. Feedback in the comments. I'll speak to you next week.